Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, with yet another transfer technique. This is the last one I'll be sharing with you, but it is kind of an interesting one. It's not my favorite, but I'm sure there are times when it will come in useful, so I thought I'd share it anyway. This is the printed acrylic skin transfer technique. It probably has a different name, but you're basically using the gel medium to transfer, but then your image is on a sheet of gel medium, and then you can like paint, you can put glue on the back and stick it on something. It is a little more difficult, probably the most advanced of the transfer techniques that I've shown you, and this is how you do it. You want to start off with some gel medium, and I've got the Soho gloss gel. You can use whatever kind you want. It's nice that this is kind of thick because you want to trowel it on. I'm working on a silicone mat. Now also, I'd like to know if you've done this technique before, what medium you used, and if it turned white at all when you wet it, because that's the one thing that's a little difficult with this, is that this gel medium, just like Mod Podge, it turns white when it gets wet, because it does kind of reabsorb moisture. So you do kind of have to, it's a little tricky. So you put on a really thick coat. Basically you want to almost not see any of the design as much as possible. Okay, so I have it on like almost like you're putting on like some icing or whipped cream on something, and then you can put any extra back in your jar and then wipe off your trowel and it'll be all set. Now this is going to take about 2 days to dry, and you have to make sure it's completely dry. And then when it's all dry, it's going to look like this, and you can see you've got a thin, it's not thick like it was when I put it on that thick, but it dries really to a thin, fine film. So I'm going to set this out of the way because I don't want to get any water onto that. Remember, 2 days, guys. You've got to let that dry for 2 days. Then what you're going to do is saturate the paper, and I would just do one area at a time because it does take a while, and you can start to see the design come through. So see, this is a just an iron gate one. I'm just using up some of these, experimenting and using up some of the leftover photocopies that I had. And then you're going to start rubbing, and you're going to remove the paper just like we did with all the other transfer techniques, and you're going to see that the image gets dark again. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can hopefully see that a little bit better. Now the thing you want to be careful here with is stretching, because you're basically working on a really thin layer of gel medium, which is kind of like a plastic, but it's a plastic that also can reabsorb moisture a little bit. This one might not so much because this has been drying for about a week. So we might be good on this one, but I did notice on my the little poison label that I did here, it stretched a bit. I did a piece of it and let it dry to see if I had gotten all the paper off, and then when I went back to do more, it stretched. So I think it's probably best to do it all at once if you can. It's just a little tricky because it's hard to tell when you have paper left, because the gel medium starts to absorb moisture and get a translucent appearance instead of being completely clear. You see that milky kind of gel look. But basically you just keep on going and removing that paper. It helps to have a rag nearby so that you can kind of wipe your hands off every once in a while. So the white that you're seeing here is just the white of the gel, and this white here, this is paper, and that's, you remove the paper, and that's just the white of the gel. And when it's all dry, it should be like a clear decal. It's not a perfect look. I mean, you're not going to get that perfectly clean, crisp image like you would with a packing tape transfer. I'll show you the packing tape right here. Like this is a piece of packing tape where we did the same thing. We stuck packing tape down on the photocopy and then wet it and then remove the paper. It's not going to be that crisp because you have a little bit more margin for error. You have a little bit more, stretching. That packing tape's not going to stretch, but the gel medium will. I could tell I've got a wrinkle there. I just lifted it up and moved it because it's stretched a little bit. And you're probably best to actually let this dry if you're on like a hard surface before you go picking it up, because once you pick it up you run the risk of stretching it. Zoom out a little bit because I know I'm out of frame, but I can't really lift it until I've removed all the paper. And this is a little bit tedious. This is one of those things, you know what this is really good for? Like here, I forgot to flip my image. So what you transfer is going to come out exactly the way it printed. Words and everything, you don't flip, you don't reverse your images when you're doing this type of transfer and when you're doing the packing tape transfer, because it's going to come out, it's going to look exactly, you know, the same way that you printed it. So that's the other thing. So maybe you went to the photocopy place and you photocopied your stuff and you realized you forgot to reverse the image. Now what are you going to do? You can't use that photocopy anymore. Well, yes, you can if you use this, like this non-reversing technique, just like the packing tape transfer. They are non-reversing techniques. All right, I think I've got the paper off that pretty well. You can see it's starting to curl up. Now when I flip it over, it's going to look white, but that's because the you're seeing the gel. See how the gel is kind of re-gelled? It looks like it's like we just troweled that gel on. We can see that, the trowel marks again. That when that dries, it will look like this. Now again, not perfect. This one I stretched a little too much. Yeah, that one might come out flat. This is the first one I ever did. That one might be a little bit better because it's not the first one. But you know, just another way that you can use those photocopies, especially if you forgot to flip one around that had text on it. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any tips or suggestions that you'd like to share with the rest of the Frugal Crafter community, go ahead and leave a comment down below. I do appreciate it. Please drop a thumbs up on this video. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.